Howdy, folks. I am the one who shall remain nameless.
He's Brian, I'm Amber, and here's some Reddit.
I guess Amber has shown me how to do an introduction. Our first story, I'm just going to leave it like that. Our first story is, am I the jerk for making my girlfriend's son give me his gambling winnings? I'm a 44-year-old male, and I've been with my girlfriend, a 40-year-old female, for several years now. She has one child, a son who recently turned 18. He and I got along really well, at least for the most part. But recently, he and I had our first blowout fight, and I'm wondering if I was wrong. What happened was that we were returning home from a summer trip. My girlfriend decided that we should stop at a casino near the border of our home state. She enjoys gambling, maybe a little too much, but that's a different post. We ended up getting a hotel room at the casino for the night. For a lot of it, my girlfriend's son and I just hung out and watched the CSI marathon. But eventually, we ended up joining his mom on the casino floor. I gave the boy $100 and told him that he should go make me some money. Eventually, I met up with my girlfriend, his mother, and he came up a little later to both of us with a cash waiver for about $1,100. He looked really proud of his earnings. I told him to turn his cash in for another $100, but he responded, "No thanks, I think I'll keep this." I answered him, "No, you didn't earn that," and I took the money and explained that all of the winnings between us were communal. I gave him another $100. I think that he had no claim to his gambling winnings in the first place since it came from my money. My girlfriend is actually with me on this, but her son is really mad at me right now. Probably the angriest he has ever been, feeling like I stole his winnings, and it's had me thinking that maybe I'm in the wrong. Alright, OP. Well, first off, what do you folks think? Do you think he's in the right? Do you think OP's in the wrong?
He's in the wrong.
Amber says he's in the wrong. I say he's in the right. He should have all the money in the world. Amber's like, no, Brian. No, don't say that. No, I don't think that. I think that OP is very, very misguided in this situation. I think that he does have some points, but I think that if you consider this for a moment, if his son, for all intents and purposes, had gone and spent that $100 and not earned any money on it, then he wouldn't have gotten anything from it. Instead, he was able to take that money and turn it into $1,100. And then OP, has the audacity to come in and take all of it. I would say that if you had offered to split it, or if you had even told him ahead of time that, hey, we're going to split whatever your earnings are, I think that he would have been a little bit more accepting of that. And when you said, I gave the boy $100, I think you're trying to, basically treat him like a child or make everyone think that he's a child. He's 18, he's allowed to gamble, and he took the money that you gave him and was able to turn a profit on it. And, that's a good thing for him, at least. And you, I think, are mistaken when you're like, well, that isn't our winning, his winnings, it's communal. That should have been something that was specified ahead of time, plain and simple. So I do think that it would be fine to have a percentage, get a percent cut from it, given that it was your money that you sent him away with and you took the risk that he was going to, blow the money. And I do think that given that, you do have, you could have negotiated some cut of his earnings. But taking all of his earnings, I think that was a bit too far. So anyhow, take care and good luck. You're the jerk. You gave the $100 to the kid with no expectation to pay it back. It wasn't a loan, and even if it was, he's a kid, and you should have known better. You have no right to the money you gave away. I want to know if he actually said, go make me more money, when he gave him $100. In my mind, that's the only thing that possibly makes him not the jerk. If he set the expectation from the beginning, like he said he did, that it was his money, and that he was just giving it for the fun of messing around at the casino, not the money, then against my will, I think I have to argue that he's right. Mind you, that's semantics, and he should have at the very least split it. I mean, the thing is this, though, where I want to argue slightly differently is that if the son had instead just pocketed the $100 and claimed that he had lost it all, then he would be better off. Plain and simple. And like when he earned that money, he thought it was his because I'm pretty sure he would have just pocketed the $1,100 voucher if he thought that his father-in-law was going to steal it from him. Like, I think that he's playing with fire and that he's going to make his son-in-law not trust him in the future for things like this. All right, our next letter is titled, Will I be a jerk for telling the guy that I'm seeing that I think it's a red flag how much he's going back to his college town and that I'd like him to find other uses of his time? I'm a long-time lurker, first-time poster, hence the throwaway. I'm a 24-year-old female, and I've been seeing Chris since January. We met on Hinge, and he's generally a pretty good guy. He doesn't have Reddit, so I'll say whatever and just name the school. He went to the University of Iowa and graduated in 2020. I also graduated in 2020, if that matters. He had a great college experience and now works in insurance. Like I said, we get along well, but there's one thing that irks me about him. Chris goes back to Iowa City at least one weekend a month, sometimes twice a month. He just couch surfs at his old friend's place and then they go all out. I really don't want to be that girl who is seen as controlling, but I seriously think it's a red flag that this guy can't go a month without going back to his college town. He's going to be 25 in November. Most of his good friends have graduated. So now when he goes back, he hangs out with his fraternity brothers who are years younger than him. Like, the guys are seniors now, but they were freshmen when Chris was a senior. So Chris is like 3 to 4 years older than they are. I know there's nothing inherently wrong with going and visiting your friends, but it just seems like a lot. It's just a red flag for me in two different ways. One, why is he having such a hard time moving on from college? Like my girlfriends and I, who all went to college together, barely even talk about college anymore. Like, we are done with it. So I don't understand why we need to discuss it. It's equivalent to the college kid who talks about his wild high school days. The second reason why this makes me nervous is is there some other girl out there he's visiting all the time? He's insisting that it's just his friends, and according to Snapchats, it looks like he's around, but it makes me uneasy. Honestly, I'd like him to find another hobby or activity he enjoys rather than going back to his college town every 4 weekends to binge drink. I don't know if I'm being judgmental jerk here if I were to actually confront him on this behavior. All right, OP. So, he's still pretty fresh out of college. I mean, he just graduated, it sounds like. If this were going on if he were 30 and going back to his college town and hanging out with, freshmen in college, then I would say that would be a red flag. In this situation, with him being so close to college and he still has friends seemingly in this college, I would say that's probably not as much of a red flag. And I would say that I think you're overreacting here. If in another couple years he's still doing this, then maybe you should have this talk. It seems like he's just going back there to cut loose and have a good time with people he's close with. And eventually when they all graduate, he's hopefully going to, not want to hang out with freshmen anymore. So, I mean, I think that's really, he's not hanging out with freshmen at the moment. He's hanging out with seniors, but you know what I mean. He's eventually going to be moving on. And I think that these things sometimes take time. So as long as I would say this isn't that concerning, and it does seem a little controlling on your part. So I would definitely not confront him about this right now. It does not seem atypical of someone of his age. But I don't know. What do you folks think? Do you think this is atypical? Do you think he shouldn't be going back to college or to visit his friends? Or do you think that he has every right to? Let me know in the comments below. You're the jerk. You are that girl that is controlling. Just because you never built strong connections or friendships in college doesn't mean that others didn't. And OP replies, I did build strong connections in college. We all graduated though. We are still close, but we don't need to talk about college anymore. You're the jerk. The red flag is that you're controlling. Alright, our next letter is titled, Am I the jerk for kicking my nephew out when I saw the gift he got for my daughter? I'm a 40-year-old female, my daughter is a 16-year-old female, and she has a lot of medical conditions and has spent a lot of time in hospitals. She's had tons of surgeries. A lot of these conditions also cause extreme pain and limit her ability to do things that she's wanted to do. My nephew, an 18-year-old male, is a bit of a prankster. He's done some pretty bad things in the past. Her birthday was yesterday and we had family come over, obviously masks, vaccinated, tests before coming over and after. And we were opening gifts and my nephew had gotten her this customized clock that had a poem on it. The pictures were replacing numbers on the clocks and they were of her in her hospital beds. I don't know how he got a hold of them, as it's mainly my sister / his mom or my husband's family that had them. The poem was about happy memories and how he hopes she makes more of them in the future. My daughter started tearing up, and when I read it, I got mad and told them to leave. My sister told me that she wouldn't, as her son was just joking. I said that this goes beyond jokes, and I wouldn't allow it in my house. She said I was overreacting, and my son, an 18-year-old male, had to step in and lead them out. Now, a lot of the family is mad at me, saying I overreacted, and I'm taking things too seriously and I need to lighten up a bit. And I'm starting to feel that maybe they're right. Am I the jerk?
No.
Amber says no. What do you folks think? What do you folks think I'm going to say? I'm going to say no. This isn't a joke. This is just being cruel. I know he's 18, I know he's young, and maybe he doesn't have a good sense of filter, but this was premeditated. He actually had to take the time, energy to find a clock, get the numbers replaced, make a poem, and all those kinds of things. This was a really cruel, premeditated thing to do. This wasn't a joke, and you're right, OP, this was taking it too far. I think that you had every right to kick them out of your house, and I don't think you're making a big deal out of nothing. She was literally crying. Your daughter was literally crying because of this gift that he gave her. Who does that? Who tries to remind someone of all their medical issues and tries to push it into their face that they spent a lot of time in a hospital? You know who knows that? She knows that. She doesn't need to be reminded with a stupid, tacky, awful gift that she spent time in the hospital. This was cruel, this was mean-spirited, and it was just plain not good. Not good at all. I don't know what I was trying to say, but not good is good enough for me. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Not the jerk, he made her cry on her birthday. I don't understand how they can defend that. He clearly upset her. It's not a joke if no one is laughing. Yep, let's all support a bully and make a birthday girl cry. Way to lay the boot in for someone who already had to deal with so many issues in life. Not the jerk, so not the jerk. But please explain to the sister that her son is a cruel bully who she's enabling. Some people are just blind until it is pointed out. Alright, our last story is titled, Am I the jerk for cooking everyone's steak medium rare? I was making 6 Wagyu steaks for my family celebrating me and my wife's anniversary. Sorry if I messed up that name. I like to cook my steaks using various sous vide methods and then a quick 2-minute sear on each side. This leaves it nice and tender, medium rare interior. 3 of the relatives commented that the steaks were too rare and wanted them well done. I refused to do so, but invited them to do it themselves on the grill. for I would not ruin such a fine cut of meat. This led to an awkward dinner, and the old lady wasn't too pleased. Edit, I forgot to add that I always serve regular steaks the way family wants them, but for this cut of steaks, I just couldn't bring myself to ruin it. Alright, OP, so let me get this straight. On your anniversary, you decided that this was the time to die on this hill. That this would be ruining the steaks that you personally weren't going to eat. And instead of like a happy time and having it a time when people could just celebrate and eat good food and enjoy each other's company, you made it about yourself, and you made it about, how you were going to control their eating habits. And now you did open it up and said, oh, you can go cook your own steak on the grill, but the fact of the matter is that you know their preferences. You know what kind of steak they want, and you went out of your way to not cook it that way. You say you don't want to ruin the steak. You probably don't want it wasted, right? If they don't want the steak and they're not going to eat it, then that is just as much going to ruin it. And the thing is that if they toss out the steaks, then that's going to waste your, perfectly good cuts of meat. So I think that you're a jerk for trying to control how people want their steaks cooked and how they are going to eat them. You didn't have to have your steak cooked this way. They wanted their steaks cooked a certain way, and I think you should have obligated. Plain and simple. But that's just my thoughts. What do you folks think? Anyhow, take care and good luck. You're the jerk for saying, for I would not ruin a fresh cut of meat. That just makes you sound insufferable. People like what they like. You're not eating their steaks, they are. And if they don't consider medium or medium well steaks ruined, then who cares? Exactly. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.